Hi there, I'm Nick and I'm here to babble on about the day-to-day challenges of people with autism and ADHD. Today, I would like to talk about our fast brains. I don't know about other folks, but for me, my speedy brain is a major contributor to conversational challenges. You see, I don't just have a single train of thought, a single point of focus. My brain's like this multi-lane highway with a tangle of electronic blue spaghetti and cars, like thoughts, feelings, perceptions, whatevers, zipping around in all directions all of the time. And my brain wants to follow them everywhere, all of the time. On top of all the zippy internal head stuff, I'm always aware of what's happening around me. The noises of traffic in the street, machinery in the paddocks, livestock, dogs, humans, the neighbour's radio in his back shed, the weather, the twittering of birds. Even with a group of people, it's all the conversations going on around me. There's also the issue of clothing if I'm around others, the constriction, the tightness, waistbands, bras, just shoes, socks, everything. That's a lot to be happening all at once. And this is one of the reasons I find it really hard to concentrate on a single conversation in a group situation. I can't filter stuff out. I get overloaded by both internal and external input, and my brain just cannot focus on what the people close around me are trying to say. I constantly try to haul myself back in and concentrate on one thing, and it's really, really exhausting. People tend to notice that I am not paying full attention, so they consider that I'm being rude. I honestly don't mean to be rude. I am trying my best. I am interested in what you're saying, sincerely. I just can't keep myself focused and on track. This also means that as there's so much happening, when I'm asked a question directly, my answers can sometimes be a bit confusing. I either have entirely missed the context, don't understand the question at all because it's just a bit too subtle, or think you're asking something completely different to what you are and answer that question and confuse the absolute living daylights out of you. My answers are often completely off, or I start feeling super self-conscious that the attention on me, and I'll grab at one of those brightly coloured cars that are speeding around in my brain, focus on that one and start babbling. And I will babble inanely about whatever that object in my brain landed on at that moment. It may have nothing to do with the conversation, and it's rarely of interest to my companions. It will frequently involve animals, because animals are one of my autistic special interests. But people generally do not want to hear me go on and on about animals. The other problem with my fast brain is that sometimes, instead of stopping on one bright little car, it will sometimes grab a handful and try and compose a sentence about them. This really doesn't work. Utter gobbledygook will then just pour forth, and no one has a clue as to what I mean. I mean, how could they? I have just uttered a string of completely unrelated random words, and I'm looking at them expectantly. No one understands what on earth I'm talking about. There has not been a Nick human Nick translation device invented yet. Even my family get confused sometimes. When I'm stressed, I often repeat phrases as though I'm trying to highlight a point. I am not. Sometimes the same phrase will come out 2 or 3 times in a single paragraph. I am aware of this. This frustrates me, and the more frustrated I get, the more I find myself repeating the phrase. and I know that what I'm saying is over the top and intensely boring. But the most frustrating issue I have is word replacement. This is a problem I developed in my early teenage years. And how nobody ever, in my family, ever picked up that I might have a problem is beyond me. I randomly replace a word in a sentence with either toilet or toilet roll. No idea why those two words, but they come out all the time randomly. This makes people think that I need the toilet all the time, or that I'm asking where the nearest toilet is. I'm not. I don't need the toilet. I generally know where the nearest toilets are. I can't help it. These words just pop out mid-sentence at the most inopportune moments. Seriously, can you imagine me answering the phone in an office to the boss's wife and telling her that the boss can't come to the phone at the moment because he's in the toilet with his secretary? The boss is not in the toilet with his secretary. He's in the meeting with his secretary. Can you imagine the problems I'm causing? Not on purpose. Confusing or amusing as this is for other people, it's intensely frustrating for me. Sometimes, when I manage to drag myself back to a conversation to try and focus, I will mishear a word. Someone may say something about sleep, and I'll think they say sheep. I live in the country, so the word sheep is an entirely sensible thing to talk about in my little mind. And then off goes my head. Sheep. How many breeds of sheep are there? How many original breeds? How many are new breeds? What are the best sheep to eat? Which produces the best wool? Which are the prettiest sheep? If I had sheep, what kind of sheep would I like to have? How much land would I need for my sheep? What do shearers cost? Or should I buy self-shedding sheep? What is the wool quality like for self-shedding sheep? I don't have a spinning wheel, that's a problem, and I don't know how to spin. Would I need to learn spinning? Who's going to teach me how to spin? What about weaving? Or could I just knit? Would anyone buy my knitting? How would I dye my wool? What colours are best? What is the most ethical dye to use? Etc., etc., etc. It just wanders off on completely random tangents, comes back and blurts out whatever it was, the last thing was that landed in my mind. What comes out of my mouth has nothing to do with the conversation around me, and it just goes bleh, interrupting whoever is speaking. Fast brain and peopling do not match. Thank you. Be well.